Hello everyone, my name is Satyam Raha, and in this video I'm going to uh, solve a pattern of stars, and the pattern looks like this. So star, 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 likewise. So at line number 1 we have 1 star, line number 2 we have 3 stars, line number 3 we have 5 stars, and so on. So what do you think? How can you solve it? The obvious thing which we can understand is line number 1, 2, 3, that is fine, but we also have some spaces here. So line number 1 has 2 spaces, line number 2 has 1 space, and line number 3 has 0 spaces. You can ignore the spaces on the right hand side, isn't it? Okay. So how do you think we can solve this? So you see, the number of stars at each line is getting incremented by 2 if you note it. Line number 1 it is 1, line number 2 it is 3, line number 3 it is 5. So it is very easy. After each line, like we were printing a new line, we'll simply need to increment the number of stars by 2, right? That is very easy. But what about the number of spaces? You see, the number of spaces at the first line is 2, at the second line is 1, and the third line is 0, right? So what can you do about it? Just try to find the pattern again, just like the last one. You see, for line number 1 we have 2 spaces, for line number 2 we have 1 space, line number 3 we have 0 space. So it is again kind of a mirror, like, or inversely um, correlated, maybe. Like this 1 can be like correlated with 0, this 3 can be correlated with 2, this 2 can be correlated with 1, maybe. How? Say this was 4, then what would have happened? So this would start with 3 spaces, 2 spaces, 1 spaces, 0 spaces. Again, see, this 4 somehow related to 3, this 3 somehow related to 2, 2 somehow related to 1, 1 somehow related to 0, isn't it? And what that somehow means is we simply can subtract 1. So 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0, isn't it? So that's make it very easy, right? So what we can do is we can simply take, see, at line number 1, what we can do to get maybe say, okay, so delete this, let's delete this, and let's delete 4. Let's make it, keep it very simple. So at line number 1 we have the value of I as 1, right? How can you make it 2? You may think I just add 1. No, that will not make a pattern, because at line number 2 you will have to add again 1. That will make it 3, but we want is 1 element, isn't it? So that is not the pattern. The pattern is you have to use the number of lines to reverse this. This is kind of a reverse, right? 1 2 3 2 1 0. So it is kind of a reverse. So what we can use is the number of lines. So these 2 can be derived from line minus the current line. The current line is 1. And what is line? The line is, say, 3 here for this example. So 3 lines to be printed. So 3 minus 1 is 2. How 1 can be derived? So the current line number is 2, and I will subtract 2 from 3, which will make it 1. Now what is this 3? This 3 is the number of lines that is to be printed. That is constant, that cannot be changed, right, throughout the program. And this 2 is nothing but the value of I at the current iteration, that is the number of current line. And how can we derive 0? 3 minus what? 3 minus 3. This 3 is basically the number of lines that is given by the user, and this 3 is nothing but the current line number, which is 3. So you can get 0. Okay, so that is how you can solve this problem. Let's check it out. So here what I will do is, the for loop is there, this is the structure for the number of lines. And now in the next line, okay, so for those again who are confused about the first for loop, you please go to the previous videos. I have explained why that for loop is there, so I'll not explain it here in this video again. Okay, it is simply for the printing the number of lines. Next loop, let's say, obviously you understand there is space and there is some elements. That's why what we need to do is we need to use two loops. One loop is for printing the space, another loop is for printing the stars. Okay, and one more thing what we need to do is initialize the star to maybe 1, because at line number 1 we have only one star, right? So we need to initialize it, and we can initialize the number of space maybe. So let's initialize the space to what? Okay, another way to solve this problem, just see, the goal of this video is to make you aware of what I am thinking. The one I have explained here, the logic is one way. Another way I just came up right now is, see the pattern. If I start the space with maybe line -1, because line is 4 for the given, sorry, line is 3 for the given example, and 3 minus 1 is 2, isn't it? So if I can initialize space to line -1, then what I can do is, after each line I can decrement it by 1, decrement the number of space by 1. That can be another logic, isn't it? So let's do it this logic first, then I will implement with the logic I have explained. Okay, so this logic seems to be very simple. So line -1, and now just write a j loop which will take care of the elements inside a line. So j equals to 1 again. I prefer to start the loop with 1. That makes it very simple. And let's say j now is less than equal to what? J is less than equal to is this loop is for space, right? So j less than equal to space and j plus plus, right? And here I will simply print this out. I will simply print, what should I print? Only space, nothing else. And as you know, not println, only print should be used. And after that I will use another for loop for printing the stars. So int, say k equals to 1, k less than, how many times should I print a star? It should be star times. So less than equals to star and k plus plus, done. Inside this, what should I print? I should print a star, that is like this. And obviously I have to make it print. You already know from the last videos, you learned it. We cannot use println here, it will simply mess it up. So we'll use print. And now what we need to do is, we need to do two things. One is increment the number of stars by 2, because at this place where the cursor is blinking, this is where we are bothered about the number of lines, meaning I have completed the line, right? I have completed the line, I have printed the space, I have printed the star, and now I'm going to the next line and I'm standing here. Now what should I do? I should do 3 tasks. One is increment the number of stars by 2, then decrement the number of spaces by 1, and the third thing is print a new line. That's it. Let's do it one by one. So star plus equals to 2, done. Space minus minus, right? Next, just print a new line, done. If I run this code now, let's see what happens. Let's run it with 10. Beautiful. What do you think? This is amazing, right? And this is not at all tough. Let's just use 30. Wow, it looks great, right? So this is one way of doing it. And now let me implement it using the logic which I have explained. So just make this space maybe equals to 1, for example, and here in space what I can do is I will simply use what should I use here? So I came up with line minus I, right? So line minus I. Okay, I do not need this space variable here. Okay, I do not need an extra variable space here because line is a constant which we already got, and I will make the changes. Okay, and this code will should work fine. Let's execute it just to check with a huge number. Let's see whether it is working or not. Yes, beautiful, working fine. So you can use both the logics. Okay, my main goal is to make you aware of different logics or how the logic is to be built, and I think you got an idea how to solve this problem. In the next video I will solve this particular pattern problem, but it should be upside down. See you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.